Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1544A, and today's date is April 13th, 2018, and the title of the episode is The U.S. is in the beginning phase of joining China's trade system. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, as we know, both factions, the Patriots backing Trump, and then we have the central banks, the deep state, they are both pushing to bring down the economy because whoever gains the narrative, well, they're going to create the new economy from the old economy. And you need to have the narrative to tell the story of what happened, why it's never going to happen again, and how we're going to create it where it's going to be a lot better than it was. Now, if the central bank controls the narrative, they're just going to tell us that they're going to be making it better. They're going to make it so everything is stable. But what they're really going to do is they're going to restart their system, make us think it's a different system, and then as time goes on, bring us into the same exact system that we're in today. Trump, on the other hand, his plan is to remove the central banks, to get rid of them, to get rid of the old system, to bring in a new system, a system that will work with the people. And what we're starting to see is that the people are starting to realize that the economy is not doing as well as Trump is saying it's doing, as the corporate media is saying it's doing, as the central bank is saying it's doing. And people are starting to catch on that something's going on here. Now, Trump has already started to push the tariffs, reciprocal taxes, and people are very concerned about this. And we can see the UMich consumer confidence, well, it is tumbling right now, and people are looking at the economy and saying, oh, we're not too sure about it right now. And we can see because of the negative economic developments, which is being reported by the corporate media, saying that these tariffs are terrible, we're entering trade wars, and they're going to push this because that is going to be their narrative. Their narrative is to blame Trump on the economy coming down. Trump, on the other hand, has to bring the economy down and pivot away from what he's doing and pivot towards the central bank and explain that during this whole period of time, it wasn't what he did, it was what the central bank did over many, many, many years. And he's going to have to show and prove what they've been doing. Now, he can do this with an audit. And I think this is in the works where eventually what they're going to do as things start to fall apart, and as we can see, they are falling apart, he's going to pull out that card and say, maybe we should audit the Fed. Just like maybe we should look into regulating social media. Maybe we should have an internet bill of rights. Maybe this is how he works. Now, what we're seeing right now is that job openings, they're tumbling. They tumble by 176,000. Now, why is this important? Well, if we go back in time, and right before the Great Recession in 2008, job hires versus 12 months cumulative change in payrolls, well, it was increasing until we hit a certain point in 2006, and then it started to decline. What we're seeing right now is we're in the decline phase of total hires, the same thing that has happened back in 2007 going into 2008, which means we are headed towards a recession, a depression. We're seeing the same exact indicators. Now, if I look at the chart, I can see from 2003 to 2006, we were increasing job hires. Everything was going smoothly, and we saw this on the graph. If we go back to 2009 to 2010, we had this sharp increase of job hires, and then we stagnated on top. And ever since 2015, we've been declining, and it's starting to pick up speed right now. And we're going to see this pick up speed, and once it starts to pick up speed to the downside, we're going to see a recession. And it looks like, from all the indicators that we've been seeing, that this recession is coming very soon. Now, I do believe that we've been in a recession. I think this is going to be a total, all-out collapse of the entire system. And here's another indicator. JPMorgan, their credit card charge-offs, they are surging right now to 6-year highs. Remember, we talked about delinquencies and how they are rising right now. Well, JPMorgan's net credit card charge-offs, they've been steadily rising, passing $1 billion in the second quarter of 2017. And as of the first quarter of 2018, we're at 1.17 billion, back to the levels last seen in June of 2012. That was 6 years ago. We're supposed to be in this incredible recovery. And how can we be where we were 6 years ago? It doesn't make sense. Now, Jamie Dimon was out there saying that the U.S. consumer is doing really well. And they're okay. But when you look at what has been happening here with these charge-offs, it looks like the U.S. consumer is not doing all that hot after all. And it looks like he was just out there saying whatever, as they usually do. This is what bankers, central bankers do. They just talk, and there's no facts or reality backing them up. Now, in the housing industry, we know back during the financial crisis, the subprime mortgages, they were a huge problem. And of course, everyone said, never again, never again. And we see the same thing happening in the auto industry. There's a huge amount of debt in credit cards now. There's a huge amount of debt globally. There's a huge amount of debt in the United States. Corporate, government, private. Debt is way up. And we know that the housing market had a huge problem back in 2008, and it's never recovered. Yes, they've gone to 20 different cities. They pump the prices up, and when people see prices go up, they feel good. Their house is appreciating. Of course, it's all on paper, and it makes them feel like everything is great, and they go out and spend. This is what they tried to do. It didn't work. People, had no jobs. They working part-time jobs. Their income level continually dropped. The people coming out of college couldn't find those high-paying jobs, and that's why the retail market is a complete and utter disaster. Well, the subprime mortgage industry that vanished during the Great Recession, well, it's back. And they just changed the name. It's called the non-prime market. Instead of the subprime market, it's now the non-prime market. And Carrington Mortgage is now offering mortgages to borrowers with less than perfect credit. And they're starting to put these together. And again, we've seen this all before. Everything is repeating once again as the economy completely breaks down. Now, all over the corporate media, we see there's a news report about Trump talking about, let's look at the TPP once again, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Even though he basically got rid of it as soon as he got into office, said no, this whole thing is a complete and utter disaster. He also said NAFTA, this needs to be reworked. Let's try to get rid of it. But again, those individuals in the banking industry and the deep state, they made it very, very difficult just to get rid of NAFTA because you need Congress to vote on different parts of it. So the whole thing had to be reworked, and this is why they're in there today discussing NAFTA, trying to come out with a new deal. Now, the TPP was killed because it failed America's workers, and it should remain dead. We should not bring it back in its current form. But he did come out and say he wanted to look at the TPP, and you have to question why. Why all of a sudden, if he killed it and said this is not good for America, that was one of the first things he did, why look at it again? And Trump clarified that he would continue to seek bilateral trade deals with the TPP nations, and specifically called out unfair trade practices with Japan. He said, we already have bilateral deals with 6 of the 11 nations in TPP, and are working to make a deal with the biggest of those nations, Japan, who has hit us hard on trade for years. And the question is, why is he looking at the TPP if he killed it? Well, the Obama, Clinton, the central bankers, deep state TPP was formed and written to inhibit China's economic dominance. Instead of China creating the One Belt, One Road, they were going to counter that with TPP. And they wanted all the countries to join the TPP and pretty much leave China out of it. And the other part of the TPP was to set up this court system that would be above all governments. They would make the decisions. Now, this was to usher in the globalist agenda, to have a one world government, because governments then would not be controlling their decisions in their country. The court system would be controlling the decisions. Plus, it would put all the countries on an even playing field. For example, if workers came from a different country into the United States, they would be paid at their country's pay level. That means the people here in the United States would have to come down to that pay level. And this is why we had a lot of illegal immigrants coming into this country, because they needed a huge number of these individuals to basically take those jobs, because most Americans would probably say, no, you know something, I'm not getting $3 an hour here. And of course, what that would do, it would push many of the American workers out of all of these jobs. Now, the reason why they wanted to do this is because they wanted all countries under the globalist agenda to be on an even playing field, where you don't have one country where you get paid higher, another country where you get paid lower. Everyone gets the same, so they can move workers all around because everyone is the same, and they can control all of this. Well, that was thrown out. That's what Trump did. He said this is not good for our country. He is looking at TPP, not at the court system, not at any of those pieces, but at the free trade part. And the reason why he is looking at this is because the U.S. is looking to join China's trade system. The TPP's goal is to serve as the foundation for the much larger free trade area of the Asia Pacific, which would not only include the United States, but all APEC member states, including China and Russia. Now, the TPP would be the engine fueling the drive toward a future unified Asia-Pacific regional bloc, in which the United States would be relegated to a subordinate member state with China, Russia at the helm. Trump realizes that China, Russia, the One Belt, One Road, their trading system that they're putting into place right now, that is the dominant trade system. Yes, Trump is making bilateral trade deals all over the place, but he realizes he needs to put something into place to link us with China. And this is what is happening right now. Now, we've been saying this all along, that eventually what's going to happen is that Trump is going to move towards this position where the United States will have to join the One Belt, One Road, because our trade, the way it is today, has to change. Because once the petrodollar is gone, our trade will have to change. And this is why he's setting up all these bilateral trade deals. And this is why we need to join the One Belt, One Road. Because if we don't join this, the United States will be left out in the cold. This is why he's setting up all these tariffs. This is why he's pushing the system to the edge with spending and everything else, because the system that we're in today needs to go away. It needs to be completely reset and rebuilt. Remember, this is a central banking system that they've created for us. From 1913 on, it took many, many years to create it. We need to completely destroy it, and he's doing whatever he possibly can to gain the narrative, destroy the system, and get rid of the central bank and bring online the new economic system. That's the whole entire goal here. And this is what he's doing. Now, in the meantime, he's putting all the pieces into place to support the new economic system. That's what is being done right now. So we can see right now that we're going to be going through this reset. It's going to be very bumpy. It's going to be very difficult for many people. People who are not paying attention to what is going on, who are not prepared, who don't have cryptocurrencies, that don't have gold or silver, that don't have food, water, supplies, medical supplies, cash on hand. Because when the system goes down, credit will freeze up, supplies will be hard to get, and the inflation will hit. And this is why you need cash on hand, because you want to use that up first. Once that is depleted, most likely we'll go into bartering, and then maybe cryptocurrencies will go online. The gold and silver is basically to ensure your wealth, and you'll use that much later on. And if you're prepared, you will be able to weather the storm. Think about it. When we came off the gold standard and went on to the petrodollar, everything changed back then, but we were still the reserve currency. This time, we're not going to be the reserve currency. Everything's going to change. So you need to be ready and prepared for this brand new system that is headed our way. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.